The Crying Game is what we're going to watch next. And where did that come from? Because of course this would have been around the time of Gaza, obviously.
We wrote,
wasn't it?
Keith and I wrote a script that we then tore up, where he looked very like an Italian footballer. Beginning with Scaracci, no, what's it called?
Skilacci.
Yeah, was it?
Skilacci, yeah.
We thought everybody watched the World Cup, so there's Keith on, it looked like Keith on the Italian team.
Yeah.
And we thought, okay, here's the story that he's the double. There was some story about Keith being his double, but it didn't really work. So we then tore it up and then wrote the story about a gay footballer who the Crying Game. Yes, so there's the Gaza part where the footballer cries and about the football business, really, because Gary, you were.
Well, you see, because Gary has a story there.
Yeah.
What was that? What was that?
No, the making the thing, right? Having to play at half time.
Yeah.
With all the fans there.
Oh, right.
And you were getting some abuse, was it?
No.
So hang on, where was this? Was this QPR or
QPR.
Was it QPR, Loftus Road? And,
not so much abuse, but it was quite nerve-wracking. We just had to film, I think, like first half a game of football within a 10-minute half-time period at Queen's Park. Rangers, they allowed us to use their pitch in the half-time period. And
15
so we had
minutes.
Wow, you had 15 minutes.
Yeah, 15 minutes to shoot these scenes where you had to score goals and this whole team play and stuff. And it was pretty, people were designated to do certain things within the game. And one or two friends were brought on board who were good footballers as well, and maybe fluffed their lines. But we were lucky enough to, in terms of scoring goals, they might have missed the target. But we were allowed to shoot again. And these QPR fans were like, what is going on? With these actors on
30,000 of them.
30,000 of them screaming, going, I can't remember, they were saying some chant which was quite rude, which was looking at it, was quite funny and quite true.
Quite true.
Yeah, just a bunch of actors or something.
He was doing narration on the loudspeaker. You were talking them through it.
Oh yeah, I think I was.
So
yeah.
he was doing a bit of Jimmy Hill as well.
I was outside amongst the crowd. I remember being out with the makeup.
You were coming through the speakers.
Well, but I do remember having the chin and everything.
Yeah.
No, having the prosthetic chin, which I never did in Stella Street when I did Jimmy Hill, and it looked really good. And there was people like that. All right, Jim. No, I loved it. Outside. So it was a real experience.
It was a real challenge.
It's my first sort of venture
Yeah.
into Pete's world, really.
Well, it's quite nice. 4 cameras set up around the ground, and of course,
What a place to shoot.
all the reactions from the crowd came from the real game. Because they were sitting like this during our.
Oh, it's much better.
They were sitting like that, looking like what are you doing? And of course, it's 30,000, so you can't see the faces.
Yeah.
We need to cut them. Reactions.
Yeah.
Who's laughed and anyway, yeah.
We found out the big difference between a crowd of heavy metal fans and a crowd of football fans.
Yeah.
So the football fans all sat there, did that, and the heavy metal fans all threw bottles of urine.
Yeah.
So I picked the QPR crowd, I think.
I think we were just snuff comedy by that time. I think snuff comedy was our game.
Who fell over on the stage? I was trying to work out. Was it?
That was Rick.
It was Rick. It was Rick.
Rick just.
But that was a real fall, obviously.
Yeah, he didn't play much of it. He kept falling over and posing and falling over and.
Because it was a stage that's covered in.
That's right. Exactly.
Oh, mate. That just looked terrifying.
He was just
utterly terrifying.
He was too busy pouncing around. That was what it was.
Yeah.
I thought there's a lovely link as well with the Crying Game to you're brilliant, Michael Caine, you did in Stella Street, and of course Escape to Victory. You were just talking, for those of you who remember that film, in which starred Michael Caine and Ozzy Ardiles. And as you said, Ozzy Ardiles and various other well-known footballers. Bobby Moore, I think, is in it as well. They weren't great at the acting, but they were great at the goalkeeping. And
Sylvester
Stallone in goal.
Of course, great shot stopper.
So, is anyone else, just before we start the next one, I don't want to make sure if anyone has got a question. Yes, down there.
Have there ever been any plans to bring Bonehead and Foyle back again?
Yes, we did write one. The National Chop Shop was. We wrote one where they had to go in disguise as actors into the National Theatre to uncover a car chopping scam. They're using the National to chop up cars and steal. So they're trying to suit the play for the kind of car they wanted to export to the continent. It's just it was ridiculous, but it's a lovely script. I wish we'd made it. It was very funny. Yeah.
Oh, shame.
So, but yeah, I think Sadly, we're probably both
Who
past
knows?
it. We can't. God, I don't think we can do
Oh,
that
no.
anymore.
To be fair,
Jumping puddles.
Michael Palin was in his early
Yeah.
70s when he still did the judges sketch in the suspenders,
I just
etc.
think
The old two, so-
that's not going to look any good.
I think there'll be a new form of comedy from that. And actually, on that, I think that's an interesting question because of all the scripts that you've written with Keith, with Pete, Richardson, and others, what's the one that you most wish could have been made that didn't manage to get it to the screen in the end?
Oh, there's quite a few. Yeah, there's quite a few. Well, the last one I didn't write with Keith, but I did write it with Shane Allen actually. Had a comedy. We didn't get it made. The Line of the Day, which is Boris Johnson's story. So that was one that we would like to have made. Yeah, there was a few, I can't remember now, but there's quite a few scripts. We did one set in Tibet, which we wanted to do, which wasn't a comedy, big script, yeah.
There's no one you was going to do, if I could just say quickly, which I thought was a great idea. You were going to do like, so we know the James Bond films, right?
Oh,
but we were going to do one where, there's people in the background who just operate the machinery, just do something. And you was going to literally turn the whole James Bond story through
I
those
think it was
people.
during the 60s, you only live in Twyford.
Yeah.
And it was like James
Yeah,
Bond,
it's genius.
because
was
James
good.
Bond never really experienced the 60s. He never let, never his hair down, he never took drugs.
Yeah.
He was a 60s hero, but he never learned to play the guitar, and so he takes a sabbatical in our film.
Yeah.
Because he's taken all these acids. Timothy Leary's given all these acids. And so they give him some time off just to relax
Yeah.
and find himself. He gets a
it.
girlfriend, it's all that stuff.
That's the one. I love that.
Learns to play guitar.
Absolutely.
I like it.
Yeah. Oh, that was
That's
great.
a go.
That was a good
Three-quarters.
take.
That's
Yeah.
got legs.
Well, your Connor is great as well. The
Oh.
same series that Crying Game is in as well. You do that smoothie so well. I was going to say, before we introduce him, Gary, for you, what is your favourite moment in terms of your experience of working in the comic strip?
My favourite moment, I suppose. I don't know. I've had some great moments, but I think working.
When they say rap.
Yeah, yeah. I think actually when we did, some great moments actually. Like, when we did Queen of the Wild Frontier, we were filming in Devon. We were filming in this old house, if you remember.
Yes, Algie May's house.
And and it was quite. Who's the guy who owned it? It was quite eccentric.
He died, but this guy had taken over the house.
Yeah, and it was quite. So we were filming in this old house, which was full of cobwebs, full of like kind of
Dogs.
wild dogs and wild cats, and sort of like hoarding issues and stuff like that, and lots of dust, and no electricity at all. But like when it come to witching hour, I don't think I laughed so much. Just just drinking wine and just sort of like hanging around to do the next shot, and just being in the middle of nowhere, and just with people that were just like, how'd you pass the time? Just have a drink and just get on with it. And that was really great memories.
It was always an adventure, wasn't
just
it?
an adventure. It
A
wasn't
comic
just
strip
a
shoot was an
a
adventure.
whole thing
Always.
of shooting. Yeah, exactly. It was what you did
You
when you
never
rapped
quite
as
knew
well.
when you were going to rap.
Yeah, you never knew. There was no union rules then.
And you're still alive, amazing.
Yeah.
And he survived it.
Yeah, you failed another day. Failed to kill it. And Phil, for you, I mean, that sense. One thing that comes across with everyone that I've spoken to, in the comic strip, is that sense of it being a family. That sense of the fact that when you all got back together, there really, there might have been arguments within that, but overall it was like, this is a good, nice place to be, isn't it?
Yeah.
A privilege to do it, honestly, to be asked to do it, because it was already up and running, obviously, 10 years or whatever by the time I got to it. Gary was a bit before, but it wasn't something. It was like, oh wow, this is great, comedy. And there was, there was a vibe, complete vibe, absolutely.
And they get paid at the end of the day with a bag of money, some cash in a brown bag. Good times.
Yeah.
Undeclared. Very good times.
Fucking envelopes full of cake and bacon, man.
Fantastic.
God.
Cash.
Cake up to the nines. I love your money, by the way. Can I have a look at it?
Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for that wonderful panel there of Gary, Phil, Peter.